following program is intended for mature audiences.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
And so they're like, why don't you just clone a T-Rex and Velociraptor and mix them together? And, it turns into like an intelligent murder lizard.
From what I can tell, it seems like, all the problems with the first edition of making a Jurassic Park, they've fixed it. They've got everyone in tanks and containment, and everyone's good. They're making tons of fistloads of money. I don't think you need to fix anyone more than... If you told somebody there was a place where you could go see dinosaurs, you would probably just keep going to see dinosaurs.
You don't need to genetically mix a T-Rex and Velociraptor to get people excited to see real-life live dinosaurs.
If you could tell me I could just say a T-Rex or a Velociraptor by themselves,
just one,
I'd be pretty excited.
If you had one live operating dinosaur, that's all you'd need.
Which is why I said, despite being a movie about a dinosaur zoo, it kind of sounds strangely realistic, because this sounds like someone at the corporate end, like probably the boss's son, came up with some stupid idea that they had to do.
Well, I'm thinking like this. We live right by Cedar Point, which is a pretty big amusement park, and millions of people go there every year over a new roller coaster. I don't think if you have 20 or 30 dinosaurs at Jurassic Park, you really need a new one to get people to keep showing up.
My only roller coasters I get, because it's like, okay, we've done this roller coaster. What else do you got?
Right.
People keep going to the zoo
to see animals that are still alive that you could just see whenever.
It's like, hey, they got a lion. And you're going to be like, oh, cool, lion. But you don't need to breed a lion and a giraffe and see what comes out.
Well, what an awesome animal that would be.
In fact, it got pretty crazy here about maybe a year and a half ago when the Toronto Zoo got some pandas from China.
Oh, we had that in Toledo back when I lived there, and it was nuts.
Everyone freaked out. Everyone's like, you got to go to Toronto to see the pandas.
Yeah.
The San Diego Zoo always makes a big deal about the pandas.
And then you go see them, and they're just boring. They just kind of sit there.
Pandas, it's like, oh my God, pandas. They're just kind of sitting there eating some bamboo.
And it was hilarious because when the pandas arrived in Canada, the Prime Minister did a photo shoot with them. He actually shook the paw of one of the pandas.
He didn't get mauled?
No, pandas are some of the least aggressive, unmotivated animals in the world.
They eat bamboo pretty much exclusively, don't they?
Yeah. So the Prime Minister showed up. He starts shaking hands with the panda, and then his approval rating shoots up 3 points over the next.
Prime Minister likes pandas. I do too.
I mean, who doesn't like a panda? Come on.
We got an election coming up in a couple of months here. And he's up for re-election. He should just roll that clip just continuously.
If they can get a photo of him in a mounting uniform riding a moose,
no, that would be awesome.
I think he could be Prime Minister for life, right?
I would renounce my American citizenship, move to Canada, and vote for that guy right away if he does that. You heard it here first.
Back in 2008, during the election, the Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, showed up on TV in a blue sweater vest, sitting in front of a roaring fireplace and petting a small kitten. And that was the campaign commercial. It was like, here's Stephen Harper. Isn't he a nice guy? Look at him with that kitten. Don't you want to vote for him?
He likes kittens. I like kittens, so I'm going to vote for him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, God knows the internet loves its cats, right?
Well, that's right.
Well, he did win that election, so I can only assume that the kitten...
He won the online write-in vote.
Here's a link to the kitten, to actually a screenshot from that commercial.
Oh, this is going to be great.
He looks goofy.
It really, it kind of, you know what? I don't know if that would work.
People here in the States would just be so cynical about it.
Right, exactly. When did he do this, Mike? How long ago was that?
That was the 2008 election.
Yeah, okay. Even in Canada now, today, they would be so cynical about it. They would rip him to pieces for that now. Because you can't, anything cute or wonderful, everybody just hates automatically right out of the gate.
There's no joy left in the world.
None. Not a bit, no.
Let's talk about how the Clippers clipped in the mightiest way they could ever clip.
Oh my God! It was. I feel bad for them, but it was just glorious. It was just glorious.
I can hear Zach barely containing his glee at this.
I mean,
it was the best thing ever.
It really was. I mean, come on.
It was the best thing ever. Come on. You know you didn't actually want the Clippers to succeed.
No.
That's not what they do.
But it was just it was so perfectly Clippers. I don't know what else they could have done that would have made it any better.
19 points.
Right.
At the end of the third quarter. And you end up losing by 12 on your home court when you have a chance to clinch the Western Conference Finals.
After being up 3-1, by the way.
After being up 3-1. After being up 3-1.
Oh, man. It's just, if these Clippers will never do anything, after this, I don't think they ever can.
This is the best team that they will ever have.
Literally, of anything that could happen, this illustrates now and forever that the Clippers will always and forever be the Clippers.
Oh, yes.
You can't close that out with that team in that situation, this is what you're going to be. You're a terrible excuse for a franchise.
I like to think that friend of the show, Rams 80, was right when he postulated that the Los Angeles Clippers are in fact haunted by a malevolent genie.
They're haunted by something, man.
Who's
just holding this team hostage from
the thing was, like, you say, like, okay, well, they lose the game, but they still have Game 7. You lose a game like that on your home court, and then you go on the road for Game 7. You're not winning it. I don't care what happens. No. I don't care who you are. Even if they weren't the Clippers, you don't win that next game.
You know what was funny is that we were just talking about it on last week's show. When do you kind of realize that it's gotten away from you? And damned if it doesn't all play out pretty much exactly like we talked about it.
Well, I thought it was great that you guys were going out. It's like, oh my God, we're in a world where the Clippers could be playing for the NBA championship. I'm like, come on, guys, they might not get past Houston.
It was just so.
You gotta have faith that the Clippers will always clip.
Well, you just never know about these things though, because sometimes. I mean, it was like maybe they're going to be the Red Sox. Maybe this is where they turn the corner.
No. See, here's the thing. The Red Sox had an illustrious history. They just had a historic drought.
Yeah, that's true.
But they weren't always the epitome of failure and futility. Whereas the Clippers, I don't think at any point in their history they have ever amounted to anything of any significance.
It was just so spectacularly, perfectly Clippers, the way they did this.
And this isn't like a new expansion team that's had like a rough 5-year start. No, this team's been around for a while, and they have always been terrible.
What? I didn't see the game, but I looked up, and I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. They blew that. They choked that series away.
I casually checked it. It's like, oh, Game 7's tonight. I'm going to check the scores out. Saw the Clippers were winning handily. I'm like, oh, I guess they're going to pull it off. And then the next day, I saw on my phone they had lost. Like, oh my God.
How did Lights Out react to this?
It got testy because before Lights Out could jump in, Headley jumped in to preemptively poke the bear. I believe he said something along the lines of like, who's more happy about this loss? The people who didn't want the Clippers to win or the Clippers fans who just love to stew in failure? And then things predictably went as you would imagine they would go after that.
Sounds about right. Can you guys think of any other time in their history where they have just been so spectacularly Clipper-like as this? I can't think of anything.
I mean, the years and years of awful basketball.
Yeah, but that just kind of piles on top of it, and you get used to that.
Oh, Michael Olowokandi?
Okay.
That was a good time for them.
I just don't think that anything's ever going to top having a 3-1 lead, and it would have been their first ever Western Conference Finals, right?
When it comes to being successful and having failure, that's probably the.
I mean, this is the biggest thing because it's like they thought they had hope, right? They're like, oh, we finally escaped it all. We have finally moved past. No, you haven't.
No, you're not. No.
Wow.
No, you have the best team you're going to have, and they keep saying, well, maybe Doc just needs to not be the GM and be the coach, and Chris Paul, he's not a winner. It's like no.
Chris Paul's the best thing to ever happen to your team.
Right.
So shut the fuck up.
Because basketball reasons. And again, Clippers, just be happy that you're living in a world where you got Chris Paul, not where he got ripped away from you for basketball reasons. But hey,
yeah, really. I mean, come on. Yeah.
You're right. And
I should start doing that to CHL, by the way. Just start randomly assigning, canceling trades.
I'll take Stamkos.
And just be like...
Stamkos is a proud member of the Thunder Bay Bolts.
Okay.
The CHL champion Thunder Bay Bolts.
And just start justifying everything with hockey reasons.
Yeah, there you go. I just don't know that they're ever
start
going to
moving all the players to either Greg or I's team because they're friends of yours. Just be like, what are you doing? You're doing that just because you're friends. No. Hockey reason.
But yeah, this was the greatest Clipper thing of all time, I think. I don't know that they can ever top this.
No, probably not.
I mean, but I was thinking about it. Like, we actually have new blood in the Final Four.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
How shocking is that? I mean, the one team you could probably claim as quote-unquote, I guess, old guard would be the Cavs, but that's just because they have LeBron.
Right.
And really, they really don't have – the Cavs even then still don't have that many deep playoff runs in their history. So even that's still, new. We got the Hawks and the goddamn Warriors, for crying out loud.
They're pretty good, I think. I mean, I don't really know. I'm just kind of looking at it from like their regular season record and how they've done in the playoffs. But I think they're going to win the title this year, which will be their first one since, 75, I think, is when they won, maybe?
Well, the 70s were weird. Like, the 70s were the decade where all of, like, the miscellaneous NBA teams won titles.
Yeah, really.
The Trailblazers, the Warriors, the Sonics.
Yeah, let me off
the Bullets have one.
Right, I was going to say, off the top of my head, I want to say that the Bullets won in like 74 maybe. Then it was I think 75 was the Warriors got there. 76,
I'm getting the list.
I think 76 might have been the Celtics stepped back in and got another one. Then in 77, it was like the Trailblazers. Maybe it was 78, it was the Bullets. That's what it was.
Okay.
79 was the Sonics. Yeah, it was like all the miscellaneous teams lined up, got their title. And
I'm gonna go through the beginning of the NBA. And this is 1950 is when the NBA actually starts.
Okay.
Lakers, Rochester Royals.
Who are now the Sacramento Kings, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lakers. Syracuse Nationals.
That's 76ers.
Is that okay, that's the 76ers now?
Yes.
Okay, right.
Philadelphia Warriors.
Now the Golden State Warriors.
Correct.
Yes. Boston Celtics. St. Louis Hawks, now the Atlanta Hawks. Then we get the 60s. Celtics, 76ers, Celtics, Knicks.
Well, it's nice of them to let the Knicks and 76ers, get one.
Oh, was that the year the 76ers? Was that the year that Chamberlain won his only other title besides the one with the Lakers? Is that?
Yeah, they beat the San Francisco Warriors.
Okay.
Yeah. Then Milwaukee Bucks.
That was the Kareem team.
Uh-huh. Then Lakers, Knicks, Celtics. Then the
Knicks won
then
too
here comes
again?
the mid-70s. This is the mid-70s where things are stupid. Golden State Warriors, Boston Celtics get in there. But then Trailblazers, Bullets, Sonics. And then Lakers, Celtics, Lakers, Sixers, Celtics, Lakers, Celtics, Lakers,
Right.
Lakers, Pistons, Bulls, Rockets, Bulls, Spurs, Lakers, Spurs, Pistons, Spurs, Heat, Spurs,
Listen,
Celtics, Lakers, Mavericks, Heat, Spurs.
How many teams are there in the NBA? 30?
30.
Yes.
And from the sounds of it sounds like only about 10 of them have ever actually won a title.
Here's the list of teams that have won a title. The Celtics, 17. Lakers, 16. Then you go from 17 and 16 down to the Bulls, 6, which all came in a 7-year span.
Let me see if I can guess who was
Or
number
an 8-year
after the
span.
Bulls.
5.
5 championships. Would that be? Oh, damn! I have the Heat. No, it would be
Spurs.
the Spurs. Oh God, the Spurs.
Oh,
yeah,
Spurs.
of course, yeah.
See, that's the thing, though. They have this, like, quasi-dynasty and nobody remembers.
Right. Yeah. You know they have 5 titles, but they've won them in such a sporadic way that you don't even think of it as being 5 titles. Yeah.
99, 2003, 2007, or 2003, 2005, 2007. Then they lost in 2013 and won in 2014.
Okay.
There's 4 teams tied with 3 titles.
Okay, that'd be the Heat's got 3 of those, right?
Yep.
76ers?
76ers would be
Yes.
my. Okay.
Knicks.
Knicks have 2.
Okay. Houston's got a couple, but that's all. They only have
Houston's
2.
only got 2. Yep.
God, I have no idea.
Pistons and Warriors.
Pistons have what, 2?
3.
3. Okay, and the Warriors have 3. Oh, because of the
Yes.
Philadelphia thing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny? When we were talking about this, I'm just thinking about it. You know, we've complained for pretty much since the beginning of basically a sports show that the NBA lately, because of the LeBron, Wade, Bosh thing, it's like it's locked into this cycle. But you look back, it's been like this all along, really.
Yeah, that's
other than when the
the NBA
70s, when all the great players were coked out and the little guys stepped in and won.
Right. And like even the teams, like the only 2 teams that are legacy teams that are always winners are the Celtics and Lakers. The Bulls have 6 titles with Michael Jordan, and that's it. They hadn't even been in the finals any other years before Jordan came there. And then with the Spurs, you have David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker. That's their relevancy. I mean, beyond the Lakers and Celtics, then you have the Spurs spurt. And then the only teams that have been consistently good, only don't have the titles to show for it, are the 76ers. They've won 3 finals, but they've also lost.
Well, they lost to the Lakers, twice or once?
Yeah, they're 3-6 in the finals. The Pistons have won 3 titles, but they lost in 4 of them. The Knicks won 2 titles and lost in 6 finals. So in the NBA, if you have a chance to win a title, you've got to go win that title. Otherwise, you're going to be irrelevant.
Yeah, because in 2 years, the Celtics and Lakers are going to be good again, and we're going to be right back where we started.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams that have never even been to the finals.
Let's see if we can figure those out.
Raptors.
Apps.
Have never been to a final.
The Pelicans, or whatever they are now.
Yeah,
the Hornets, too.
The Hornets. I was going to say the Kings, but the Kings have been there as the Royals or something. But
right, the Kings were there as the Rochester Royals. Yep.
Minnesota. And Denver. That's 5, though, isn't it?
We got Bobcats, Hornets, Hornets, Pelicans. You said the Raptors, you said the Timberwolves, you said the Nuggets.
Well, back up a second.
Another team we started out the conversation with.
Oh, the Clippers. Duh.
And Canada's other great franchise.
The Vancouver Grizzlies.
Yes.
I was just thinking, though, with the Pelicans and the Hornets and all that, if you sit down and think about it, that's like 8 different teams they've had that have never made the finals. You know? Between Charlotte and New Orleans, they've got it's like, well, we have the most teams that have never made it. We're like 16.
You've got the New Orleans Pelicans, the New Orleans Hornets, the Charlotte Hornets 1.0, the Charlotte Bobcats, the Charlotte Hornets 2.0.
Right. It's like 5 teams from one town.
Nobody knows which team's actually which.
but this is all pointing back to the same conversations we've had about the NBA forever.
Yeah.
If you are a Denver Nuggets fan or a Memphis Grizzlies fan, why would you ever care?
Why would you have hope?
Well, if you're a basketball fan living in Denver, besides the Nuggets being the local team, if you sit back and think about it for a minute, you should think, well, Nuggets are never going to win anything.
No.
You wait long enough, and the Celtics or Lakers are going to win another one,
right,
or 3 or 4 in a row. And unless you have a franchise-changing talent like the Bulls had with Jordan or the Spurs have had with Duncan, the Heat got LeBron, and the Cavs, they're going to have another shot at winning a title this year. Who knows if they'll actually do it with LeBron. But if you don't have that generational single game-changing talent, you're never going to win unless you're the Lakers or Celtics.
And because you brought up the Nuggets. The Nuggets, I know they made the playoffs a lot in the 80s. Mm-hmm. I don't know about the 90s so much, but I know they've kind of bounced in and out of the playoffs. But if you think about it, they've never even really come close in their entire history.
In their history, between the ABA and NBA, have 10 division titles.
We all know, unless either everybody gets together and decides we want to go play in Denver for who knows why, or like you said, they get like the next Jordan, LeBron, or something like that. There's absolutely no hope. It's just not going to happen. Simple as that.
The middle of the NBA is the worst place to be.
Exactly.
Like, even if you're in the middle of the NHL, it sucks, but you could put something together and go forward. Like the Flames have done. You know, they've made some smart draft picks, despite for years being stuck and never being the worst team, but never making the playoffs. They were able to rebound like that. But
I'll give you a perfect example.
In the NBA, you can't do it.
And I'll give you a perfect example of a team that in the NHL where if you're just patient and do things the right way, eventually success will come. That's the Detroit Red Wings. Like I said, you guys are too young to remember when they were literally like the Edmonton Oilers or the Buffalo Sabres are today. That's how bad they were.
Before we lived under the tyranny of the wing wheel.
But then they put it together. They got the organization set straight, and they've reeled off, I don't even know how many cups since then. 4 or 5, I got to think, right?
97, 98, 2002, 2009, so 4.
Yeah.
No, didn't they won back-to-back?
97, 98.
Oh, yeah, okay. Then, yeah.
Didn't they repeat again in the early 2000s, or am I just
No, they were in the finals a lot, though.
They were in the finals a lot, but they never repeated after 97, 98. They won it in 2002 when they beat the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
In that Stanley Cup Finals, everyone forgets.
Played the Penguins and
but if you look at comparatively the NHL to the NBA, it's like
close.
Columbus is. I think they're on their way up. I really think if they'd stayed healthy this year, they'd have probably done better in the playoffs than they did last year. So,
no, they would have. their stats.
And the Sabres, well, what was that, 98? They made the finals, so it's not like an abstract idea like it would be with, say, the Nuggets or, whoever, the Suns. Did the Suns win a title, or they just make a finals once?
They made the finals twice, didn't they?
Oh, I remember,
Yeah,
the
they've
other
never
time.
won it.
Yeah, they never won it, though.
But you compare, like, the list of winners that we just went through with the NBA, and then you look at the NHL. Yes, okay, Montreal stands on top of everybody with 24. But you think of the 24 cups that the Canadians won since expansion in '67. They have won. Well, they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 of their 24 cups have come after expansion.
Well, that's still pretty good.
But compare that. But second place is Mike's Maple Leafs, who have not won since expansion, right?
Yeah.
The Red Wings have 11 cups, and then it's still even more spread out because you have 24, 13, 11. The Bruins with 6, Blackhawks 5, Oilers 5, Rangers, Islanders 4, then Devils, Penguins 3, Flyers, Kings, Avalanche 2s, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams with 1. The Stars, Flames, Ducks, Hurricanes.
There's two perfect examples. I mean, the Stars are kind of on their way back now, but they were playing the Sabres in that final in '98. I think it was '98, wasn't it? Or was it '99? '98. 99. Okay.
Yeah. They played they won in '99 and lost in 2000.
If you're a Dallas Stars fan or even a Sabres fan at this point, you can at least look at it and go, there is hope.
Yeah,
I don't know how you do that.
Especially the way the Stanley Cup playoffs play out.
Right.
In the NBA, the better team wins.
Well, here's the thing too.
Unless you have a weird thing like this year, like even though the Clippers collapsed, the Rockets had the same exact record as the Clippers.
Yeah,
it's actually the 1 and 2 records in the West playing for the final.
Right.
So it's not like
it wasn't it wasn't a huge upset. It was just the way it played out.
Right.
I think if that series goes back and forth for 7 games, it probably doesn't seem nearly as much like they clippered the way they did. But you want to talk about an example of a team that, why would you even bother? Let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah.
What would be the point? Because that I don't know what pick they've got in the draft this year, but they can get
number 1. They won the lottery last night.
Okay, you can get a great player with that number 1 pick, and I don't know what the first contract is on the NBA, but the minute that's up, that dude is gone. He's not going to stick around.
Well, and the interesting thing with the Timberwolves, that they played it up a whole bunch the other day. Whenever they draft this number 1 guy and sign him, because of the trade they made with the Cavaliers, they'll be the first team in NBA history to have 3 number 1 overall picks on their roster. With Anthony Bennett, Andrew Wiggins, and whoever they draft this year. Probably Karl Anthony Towns.
They were talking about this on the game last. I had to actually listen to the freaking radio last night on a battery because I just wanted to say this to you guys. My power went out yesterday at 3:15. Finally came back at 2:10 in the morning last night. Right, the minute I'd gotten used to living like the Amish with literally candles and a battery powered radio. I fall asleep 10 minutes later, all of a sudden the whole house just fucking explodes with activity. I hear computers firing up everywhere, and I'm like, oh, my God. But anyway, what were we talking about? I got us off track there. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't know what we were talking about. Oh, and just another thing with the Stanley Cup. There are 9 Cup champions on, 5 teams. They're actually defunct. To spread out the winnings a little bit more.
Those Montreal Wanderers, they were a dynasty.
I'm telling you, if the Cleveland Crusaders had just managed to make the merger, you're looking at 10, 12 cups. I guarantee.
Well, these are NHL teams. We're not counting.
Well, I know, but there were a couple teams like the Oilers.
The pre-1914 Stanley Cup champions are it's a mess.
Yeah, it is. There's 3 Stanley Cup champions in 1 year because teams just kept challenging for it.
Right. If you wanted to win the Stanley Cup, you said, hey, we challenge you. It's like, okay.
Well, see, that's the strategy the Blue Jackets are using right now. Whoever wins, they're going to come out and challenge, you see.
It's like Money in the Bank in WWE.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so you're like, well, okay, we challenge you.
Just one piece of the list that I scrolled on. Between March 7th and March 14th, the Montreal Wanderers got challenged for the Cup 3 times.
Yeah.
And won 3 times, so that makes them 3 times Stanley Cup champions.
In a week. That's pretty damn impressive. But I don't know, Zach, I don't know that Mike or maybe Mike can, I don't know. But do you think the Cavs are better off at this point? Because Wiggins had a pretty good season with the Timberwolves.
Wiggins had a good, but if you're going to get LeBron, you got to get LeBron.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying, though, is they moved Wiggins to get Kevin Love. I don't know that they're really any better off at this point. Without injury aside, I'm just saying that really, because they had a hard time fitting him into their offense, and he really didn't kind of catch on until towards the latter part of the season. I just don't know if it was really worth it to let a talent like Wiggins go.
But from all accounts, that was a LeBron orchestrated move.
Oh, well, of course it was, yeah.
So, it was going to happen one or the other.
Basically, if you lose LeBron for hanging on to Wiggins, then you got to get rid of Wiggins, and it's as simple as that.
This is true, yeah.
Yeah,
from a basketball
would it be
standpoint,
good for
yeah.
long term, maybe. But just like we talked about, as soon as LeBron is out of Cleveland, the Cavaliers are going to suck again.
Forever.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, let's be honest about it.
Yeah, if they don't win a title with LeBron, the Cavaliers may never win a title.
Come on, you look at the Timberwolves or the Pelicans, Hornets, Bobcats / whatever they're going to be next. Those teams. It really is hopeless. It just is. I don't know.
Even you look at the teams that are in there right now. The Atlanta Hawks had kind of a fluky season where they had this team come together, but they're probably not going to win.
No.
Because they had really, you look back at their season, how they played in the playoffs, they had that 26-game winning streak, which is amazing. But once that streak is over, they got a big lead, but you're in the Eastern Conference, you don't need to do too much more than that. And if the Cavaliers were playing how they were at the end of the season for the entirety of the season, they would have been the number one seed, and the Hawks wouldn't be. Also,
just looking at the way these playoffs have played out, the Hawks really haven't looked like the world beaters that everyone has made them out to be.
No. Everybody's been saying I think they got picked to be upset. I'm just saying, who'd they play in the first round?
Brooklyn, and they finally got around to beating them. That was one of those series where neither team really wanted to win.
Well, weren't there people at the beginning of that series saying they could see Brooklyn knocking them off?
No, it was Washington in the second round.
Oh, okay.
Washington had a great series against the Raptors, and the Hawks didn't look great, so then they could have – they almost did. If the ball goes off of Paul Pierce's finger an instant sooner, like half an instant sooner, then they get a buzzer beater, and they probably win that game and take it to 7.
I was going to go back to the Nuggets for a second to illustrate a point. They had a pretty good talent there in Carmelo Anthony. The point being is they got this guy, but once you've got him, you become just good enough to make the playoffs, but not bad enough to really improve. And when it comes to free agency, Denver's just never going to beat out L.A. or Boston or even New York for that matter, Miami. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, so it's hopeless. But it is nice to see 4 new teams. We are going to have – we got the Hawks who've never won, the Cavs.
Well, the Hawks, technically, if you judge by the little tab on the back of their jerseys, they have one as the St. Louis Hawks.
Okay, well, and
that counts for the NBA's jersey tag thing,
which is so stupid.
Yeah, Houston's got 2.
Got 2.
The only reason they won those is Michael Jordan retired. Simple as that.
If Jordan didn't want to take a break and play baseball, they would have won 8 in a row.
I gotta tell you the story really quick about those 2 Rockets teams, because my first ever sports radio job, I did a show with this guy, and after they won that second title, he's like, "You got to talk about them as one of the greatest teams of all time." I'm like, "The hell you do?" I said, "They're not one of the greatest teams of all time. They don't even win this if Michael Jordan's not there." And he just got so mad. Because they won 2 titles, it makes them one of the greatest teams ever. I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me with these guys.
No, Hakeem had a great career, and they made it to the finals another time in '86. When
Ralph Sampson, yeah, but that was a bullshit upset against the Lakers. Come on,
right, and it should have been Lakers Celtics for the 6th year in a row.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that the NBA was, as hard as it may be to believe, it was really exciting back then because you had 2 teams to gun for. And there were teams that were talented enough to knock off the Celtics. Maybe not so much with the Lakers, because that Western Conference was everything the Eastern Conference is today. The West was back then. But you had Atlanta would make runs at the Celtics, the Sixers, and
Pistons.
there was always the Pistons. God, they had some great series against the Pistons. I don't see that today.
The other thing, and this kind of broadens to a wider sports point, especially with that, all the players are so friendly with each other now.
Yeah.
There really isn't any pure sports hate anymore.
No.
Like there used to be. Like in the past, teams wouldn't even fraternize with each other. But you look at every single baseball game. What happens during batting practice?
Oh, they're out there,
the guys are out there shaking hands and, "Oh, hey, how's your kid? Oh, yeah, that's fun. Ha ha." And, these guys are meeting each other in the hallways after the games. They're getting dinner afterwards. Nobody hates each other anymore. They're all just part of the bigger players union, and they just happen to be on different teams. Maybe in a long series you work up a little on-court hate to an extent, But like at the end of the day, they'll be like, "Hey, man, it's just the game." They'll be like, "Yeah, I know. Sorry about that, man." And then they shake hands and go on.
When I know that in the 80s with the Celtics-Lakers rivalry,
they hated each other.
They did, and when Magic and Bird became friends, I can't even think of a comparison to give you of what that would be like today.
Oh yeah, back then there was legitimate hate.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Those teams.
Another example of that I was actually surprised to see. Yankees, Kansas City Royals.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently there was a lot of animosity between those teams.
Fred hated the Yankees.
Yeah, and I mean, because that was back when the Royals were really good, and yeah, that was a hell of a rivalry back then, and they did not like each other. Simple as that. I mean, there was, it wasn't fake. It was legit. They hated each other.
Yeah, and I mean, you see it a little bit in, I guess, some of the sports where it's easier to hate people because you're hitting each other in hockey and football.
Oh, everyone hates Corey Perry.
Like Milbury especially, apparently. Puck drops just happened in Chicago, so I'm going to be a nervous wreck for the rest of this podcast.
What? It started already?
Oh yeah, God, we gotta get the game in early, guys. Can't be having the Blackhawks fans stay up past bedtime.
I saw. Okay, first off, I was completely cut off from the world yesterday, but I saw a little bit of that. They're whining because the games are starting too late.
I don't even understand this. Like, there are a lot of subjects when it comes to hockey that I will get passionate about. Toronto! Start times are not one of them. If possible, you start at the convenience of the home team. That's just how you do it.
Blackhawks, in the first 2 rounds, they got dicked over with some of the start times. Like that 3 overtime game they had against Nashville started at 8:45 in Chicago. It was a home game for the Blackhawks. So I understand that's ridiculous. But for them to be complaining about that after a home game in Anaheim, I'm sorry it went 3 overtimes, but that's the Blackhawks.
Well, not only that, but give me a break. I mean, they made you guys start a game at freaking noon.
We play 1 game a year at 1 o'clock.
And they just dropped the puck at 5:15 your time or whatever time it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Right. The puck drop was at 6:15 last night, or on Tuesday night, I guess.
I just don't get it.
It's stupid. And there are only a few Blackhawks. Like Admiral's not getting up in arms about it. He's like, yeah, the game started in Anaheim. What the hell do you want?
I liked actually Andy's response where he eventually just said, "Guys, don't you understand? I want to be able to have my cake and eat it too."
Yeah. Was the Rangers Lightning game last night really good?
It was, yes.
Sloppy as hell.
Was it sloppy?
It was exciting though.
Because I did not see a second of it.
Lundqvist looked bad. That's 2 consecutive games allowing 6 goals for King Henrik.
That's not good.
After 14 consecutive 1-goal games for the Rangers in the playoffs.
Everything has to average out, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Mike, looks like you and I better be picking up the conversation here.
Harry's stick was there, but somebody decided to kick their legs up in the air like they're on a fucking trampoline. But, guys, I got to tell you, as much fun as it is watching other teams play these triple overtimes, sitting in the building is just exhausting.
Oh, I would imagine.
The game ended, and it's just like... Oh,
well, especially if you're on the losing end of it. I would think that it's just got to be like, wow, I just sat here for an hour for that.
Well, yeah, because it's like you're just going with it, and all of a sudden the game just ends, and you're like, oh, okay, we lost, I guess. Like, time to go home.
So what's going on with the fans between the 2 teams here? I heard there was some a little bit of snipping going back and forth. Yeah,
were things getting salty?
Salty.
Apparently, Ducks fans are smug.
Is that true, Mike?
Most of them are cool, but you guys do have 1 or 2 less than desirable individuals who you should probably look into reining in.
Apparently, Andy thinks I'm smug.
He's always thought you were smug.
Well, Andy's smug.
Yeah, but I think Andy's taking little digs at you like that all along. I just think you're just noticing it more this year because you're playing his team.
Maybe. I don't know. Andy's also Andy.
Yeah.
he has his...
The thing about Andy, though, is that I think he knows, like, again, with this whole start time thing, he flat out said, "Don't you guys get it? I want to have my cake and eat it, too." So it's kind of one of those things where I think he knows.
No, he does that after the fact. He backtracks. You know that.
Yeah.
No.
Everyone calls him out on it, and he's like, well, fine, this is just the way I think then. It's like, okay.
Well, no.
I just say that from the start then, instead of being, like, gung-ho with it.
No. He definitely backtracks, but he, like, has enough sense to realize I'm on the wrong end of this, so...
Well, yeah, but it's... Like, do you remember Admiral smackdown of him. Like,
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's like that, where he thinks he's like that all the time, where it's just, oh my God, this sucks, and somebody's finally like, stop, enough, and he's like, oh, you're right.
He really took that to heart when Admiral smacked him down like that too, if I remember right.
It's still one of the most, like, if you go to the bottom of the page,
most
liked, it's still up there. I click on that every now and again just to see some history. And I think it's like the third or fourth most liked post.
It's fantastic at the end where he just starts going, golf. You're allowed to watch golf. And that's how he ends it.
Yeah, right. And the other thing was, of all people to be calling out someone for being smug, Admiral was calling out people for being smug. Come on, man. Do you read yourself?
We're getting a little too inside baseball here, I think, for the other listeners we have.
That's, keeping on the hockey discussion, let's talk about how you suck, Buffalo!
What'd they do now?
No,
you got their coach, right?
It's not it's what they failed to do.
Well, are you sorry, this game is I have had it up to my fucking eyes with these referees.
Wow, we're only about 20 minutes in.
Period.
Yeah.
Oh no, they're calling on Hossa. It's okay.
Oh, now it's all right.
Okay.
Well, no, it's happened this way in the past in all three games where they called like 2 or 3 penalties in the first 10 minutes on the Ducks, and then they realized, oh, we've called a lot of penalties for Chicago. Maybe we should call some on them, and then they start going the other way, and it's frustrating. Be consistent. What were we talking about? Oh, the Babcock to the Maple Leafs.
Yes,
Babcock coming to the Maple Leafs. It's all
$50 million American dollar contract.
6.25 Canadian, I believe, is what the number comes out to.
Is that the going rate now?
Yes.
But yeah, supposedly the Sabres were under the impression, after having talked to Babcock last week, that he was pretty much signed, sealed, delivered to come to them, and they were ready to have a press conference like as soon as Monday. And then it turned out that the Maple Leafs were like, no, why don't you come play for us or coach for us, because we have all the monies.
yeah, MLSCs. Greg, you were telling me over text, you hope it's worth it. Well, here's the thing. MLSC is not hurting on cash, so they can really afford to do this.
And there's no salary cap on coaches.
Is he? I've got to think. Is he probably the highest paid coach in the NHL at this point?
NHL history.
NHL history. Okay.
This is the highest value contract for a coach in NHL history. Yeah. I mean, and really, I think he's probably the best coach in the NHL. It's deserved. I liked a lot of the things he said at the press conference today, saying things like, basically telling Maple Leafs fans, "Oh!"
I don't think that's what he said.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't understand why he would say that.
Yes. Okay, sorry. Ducks scored 1-0. He told Maple Leafs fans, like, hey, expect some pain. This isn't going to be an easy fix. It's going to take some time. That's why he signed for 8 years, because he knew it was going to take some time. With a coach like Babcock, he has like a program in mind, as opposed to other coaches and other GMs in the past where it's like throw money at the problem because you're the Maple Leafs and you can do that. But a guy like Mike Babcock can get players to buy into what he's selling, as you've seen over the last, 10 years now in Detroit. And so you can probably get some star players, talented players, to come to Toronto for maybe a little less money and see, this Babcock guy knows what he's doing. I'm going to buy what he's selling, and everyone's going to play as a union. The
biggest problem the Maple Leafs have had consistently is that the culture of the team has been toxic for a while now. And if Babcock can do that, if he can get players to buy into whatever he's selling, then the culture is going to change, and that's vital. You need to change basically the vibe of that team because it has been bad for so long. Mm-hmm. I'm not expecting a quick turnaround, but finally it seems like the Maple Leafs went out and they said, this is a guy who can help us, and they went out and made it happen. That is the biggest surprise to me and why I'm so happy about this. I mean, obviously I'm happy that Mike Babcock is the new Maple Leafs coach, but I'm even happier of the fact that he's the Maple Leafs coach because Maple Leafs management said, okay, we're going to do what it takes to make sure he gets here. And that's what I'm really excited about.
The interesting thing for Babcock, though, is all the teams he's had have had a lot of talent on them when he came in. With the Red Wings, he had Datsuk and Zetterberg and all that. When he coached Team Canada to 2 gold medals, I mean, Team Canada is not exactly.
They're going to be pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. And when he was the Mighty Ducks coach, the year that they went to the Stanley Cup Finals, he got helped out a lot by Jay Shiger being, just insane in those playoffs. He's not a guy that needs a certain player necessarily. I think he's someone that can adjust to the talent that's laid out in front of him.
See, I think that's really important as a coach in any sport, is that if you're good enough to make the talent you have work.
The thing that really sold me on Babcock actually was this Tampa Bay Lightning Detroit Red Wings series. You look at those teams on paper, Tampa Bay should have had that in 4 or 5 games. And Babcock, through his coaching alone, was able to neutralize Tampa Bay's goal scorers to the point where he was able to push it to Game 7. So it's a case where, like Zach said, he knows how to make the most out of what he has, and you can't really deny that he's got a great mind for the game. So I'm excited he's the coach. I'm excited that Maple Leafs management is finally willing to go out and do what's necessary to make things better. If you want to call last season just sort of Shanahan keeping the boat together from the previous regime until he figured out what he wanted to do, and this is kind of like the start of Shanahan building the team he wants to build, then I'm optimistic going forward.
Well, cool. And they don't have a GM right now, right?
No, they don't. Nobody knows what's going on there.
Do they really need one though? With the way Shanahan works, and I assume Mike Babcock's going to have some say in player personnel. Definitely. Couldn't they just say, well, Brendan Shanahan's new title is President of Hockey Operations and General Manager? Yeah,
they really don't need. I would prefer it if they didn't, because MLSE corporate structure has always been one of the weak points for the Maple Leafs, in the fact that nobody's really sure who has final say over anything. John Ferguson would have been out 3 years before he was actually fired as GM.
If they could have just figured out who could fire him, right?
Well, basically, the president of the team hated the guy, but the guy who was the chairman overall of MLSE liked him, and neither was sure who had final say over. So it was it's a bit disorienting. So the less amount of hands in the pot that you have, I think, the better.
So he just kind of sat around and collected a check until they figured out how they could get rid of him.
Exactly, and that explained why things got really bad for a while there. But I would, I just do what Zach says. Just say, hey, Brandon, you're also going to be the GM, so just keep doing what you're doing. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team next season. There's still a lot of personnel problems that need to be addressed.
And plus, next season's probably going to have an element of a teardown to it.
Yeah.
Do you think Dion Phaneuf and Phil Kessel are members of the Maple Leafs come October?
I'm going to say no. I don't think they are.
Do you think one of them stays and the other one goes, or get rid of both of them?
If I had to guess, I'm going to say if one of them's going to stay, it's going to be Phaneuf. Phaneuf stays, and Kessel and Bozak go, because Kessel will then demand that Bozak be offered and be packaged with him. So, I mean, you just got to send Bozak wherever you send Kessel, or else mentally he'll just break down.
Hey guys, I need friends. I don't make friends, and Tyler's my friend. So
if you're going to trade me to Florida, send him to Florida.
Hey, lay off Tyler, all right? He's my BFF.
Poor Phil.
Guys, stop saying mean things to Dion. It's not his fault.
Guys, trade me to Nashville. I don't want to talk to people.
I could go there. The newspaper doesn't even cover the team there. That would be the perfect spot for him.
Phil Kessel would love it in Nashville. Nobody would ever.
Hey, Phil, can I talk to you for a second? Who are you? Oh, I'm the beat writer. You're the what? The who?
There is a possibility that if Phil Kessel gets traded to Nashville, then he'll have to deal with the food critic.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how that would happen.
But seriously though,
I didn't like your biscuit recommendation, guy.
Looking at some of Phil's pictures, I think that him and a food critic would get along just fine.
Hey, do you want to go get some pizza?
Yeah. Let's have some biscuits and whatever you guys do down here.
That was fantastic, by the way, that text message picture. If you saw a picture of this guy, what would you say he does? It looks like he spends all day eating Doritos and playing Xbox Live.
Not a bad assessment, really.
Phil Kessel, Maple Leaf speculation is one of those things that I'm both intensely interested in for obvious reasons, but I'm also completely both terrified and sick of it because everyone, like, you go to any bar from Toronto to Detroit.
Hey, so you think the Leafs are going to keep Phil or what?
Exactly. No, you go to any bar in all of Southern Ontario and just, like, everyone's got a fucking opinion about who they need to trade.
Pull up a seat here. What do you need to drink, and where do you think Philly goes?
So there's like one guy who's like, he's going to tell you right then and there. No, it doesn't matter. Some dive bar in Chatham, Ontario. He's got the fucking answer.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
Here's your potato skins, and do you think Dion should be stripped of the seat?
Wow, this sounds an awful lot like Cleveland with the Browns.
It is. All you have to do is replace guys from Ohio with good Ontario boys, and it's the same fucking thing.
Well, I mean, at least the Maple Leafs haven't changed their blue to a lighter shade of blue
to represent the passion. And we don't have a stupid fan section where we misspell the word dog, so that's
the Leaf
another
pound?
Thing. The Leaf. I don't know.
Pile. The Leaf pile.
The Leaf pile. There you go.
I don't know. We do have Carlton, the bear, who's our mascot.
The polar bear, right?
Our polar bear mascot. It's like,
Which
hey,
makes complete amounts of sense.
Hey, we need a mascot. Well, we can't just have like a Leaf, so put a Leafs jersey on a polar bear. Yeah, that'll work.
What represents Canada the best? A moose? Nah, the antlers would poke out kids' eyes. What about a polar bear? Yeah, one of those. That's cold, right?
It's better than the Islanders' mascot. It's a dragon.
Well, they have a dragon for their mascot?
Yes.
That's stupid.
Their mascot is a dragon because the owners of the team, when they had an Arena Football League team,
right,
was the New York Dragons. And so when that team left, they still had this dragon suit. So they said, well, we're going to make him the mascot of the Islanders. It's kind of like a poor man's version of what the Expos and Canadians did with Yuppie.
Oh, okay.
At least that was interesting because they quote unquote traded for him.
Right. And Yuppie's not a thing. Yuppie's just an existence.
Yuppie. Yeah.
He's not. It doesn't have to make sense because he's just an orange blob.
Yeah, he's like an orange Philly fanatic.
You know what his jersey number is, right?
Yuppie's? No. What?
It's an exclamation point.
Oh, see, that's
perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah,
because
that's awesome.
His name is Yuppie with an exclamation point. His name isn't just Yuppie; it's Yuppie.
Speaking of mascots, has anybody watched the new 30 for 30 short on the old crab from San Francisco?
No.
Oh, you got to check this out. They had a mascot for one season. The Giants did.
Oh.
And he was called the Crazy Crab, and he was designed to be hated. Like, he was kind of like the anti-mascot.
What poor college intern or high school student did they stick inside of this thing?
Oh, no. It was an actor they put inside there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at the San Francisco crab. Oh, God.
See, now, I thought the crab was awesome because it was meant to be like a joke. And I guess people took it a little too seriously. You got to watch the documentary, but he had to put steel reinforcements inside of the back of his shell because they were throwing batteries and golf balls and shit at him.
Oh my God, this is terrifying.
The crab? Look at it. Look into its eyes.
But it's I think the whole thing's about 10 minutes long. If you get a chance to watch it, you should. But it's
the Giants have done better with loose seal.
Truth be told, I'm a bit surprised that the Philly fanatic has lasted as long as he has, considering that Philly fans are some of the most violent and hateful people.
Yeah, no kidding.
You can't hate the fanatic.
Yeah, but no, these are the same people who booed Santa Claus and cheered Michael Irving breaking his legs. So, you think they'd see some asshole in a green suit and be like, get the fuck out of here!
And now, another episode of Basically Three Drunk Guys Talking About Hockey Jerseys.
It's the same thing as the Red Wings, where I just think that with their blue jerseys, there's just so much color. Like, it's just one big block of blue.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the Red Wings white works to an extent because the
red sleeves.
Right, because they're trying to make them look like Red Wings.
Yes.
Like, that made sense.
Okay, I'm going to look here. Let me see now. I'm going to go right down the list. The Ducks, I think I prefer the white. The
I'm starting to
Coyotes.
like the white a little bit more.
Chicago's another one I like. The white jerseys better than the red ones.
See, the red ones. The red ones to me are the red ones. My top three jerseys are Canadians red, Blackhawks red, and Rangers white.
See, I like the Blackhawks white better, believe it or not. I like the red one a lot too, but I prefer the white.
I'll be done in a little bit.
Okay, the Blue Jackets, I prefer the blue over the white. I like the white a lot. I like it a lot, but I prefer the blue. The Wild, ooh, that's a tough one. 'Cause they both look good.
Well, the Wild have 3 different jerseys.
Yeah, and I like all of them.
I like the whites. Like, if they can make a green jersey to match the white jersey.
I think that I gotta go with the white too, because I saw those in person. They were great. Canadians all the way with the white. I know that's like sacrilege, but that's where I'm at with it.
Sacre
Tabarnak.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Basically 3 Drunk Guys Talking About Hockey Jerseys. Be sure to tune in next week for another exciting episode. We now return you to your regularly scheduled episode of Basically a Sports Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, right in the middle of a Ducks game, Zach's Tabs.
Zach's Tabs at the Ducks game!
Yeah, take it away.
NFL news, of course. They
What's
changed
that?
the extra points.
Oh, yes, they did.
Oh, this is going to be so
The
stupid.
extra points will be kicked off from the 15, but if you're trying a 2-point conversion, it will still be at the 2. And defenses can now, if defenses return an extra point attempt, they can score 2 points now, just like you can in college.
Okay, that's not so bad.
Yeah, but don't you think, though, that the extra point, if you're going to move it back for the kick, it should be moved to the 1 for the 2-point? Just to give people, like the teams, more incentive to go for the 2?
I'd also like to see them go whole hog on moving the extra point back. Like, have the extra point be from the 35.
So it'd be what, like a 40, 52-yard field goal?
Sorry. No. I meant like the 25, so it would be a 35-yard kick.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like, I don't even know what the point is. I mean, they're still going to hit about 90% from that range, right? Don't you think? I just want to make a note really quick, too. I hate Corey Crawford's mask. Okay, we can move along.
He actually changed masks in the middle of the playoffs. This is a new mask.
Yeah, this one he's wearing tonight. Forget it. I don't even.
But you don't like the feathers?
No,
design?
it's as stupid as when somebody made a concept of the Chiefs helmet they were going to do that with. But anyway,
interesting.
To talk about, you were talking about the conversion rates.
Yeah.
PAT conversion rate has been just about 99%. Over the past 10 seasons, conversion rate for kicks from 15 yards exactly is 91.6%.
Okay, so that's going to make it a little bit more interesting. But again, like I said, if you're going to do this, then move the 2-point conversion to the 1 to make it give you more incentive to go for it.
Still more incentive to go for it because, I mean, the 2 is still closer than the 15.
Yeah.
I still say you do this. Touchdowns worth 7 right off the bat. If you want, you can do 2 for 9.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. I'd be fine with that, yeah. Because I mean, I've never really kind of understood the extra point in the first place. It's just always been like part of football to me, but I still don't.
That's just what it is.
I don't really get it.
It's one of the holdovers from rugby. So,
but I mean, think about it. Like if hockey had an extra point, like okay, you score a goal, and then what you go to like the the center ice and.
Yeah,
they put a little thing up so you've got like a 2-foot square to try to shoot the puck through and you get another goal.
They put down those little cardboard cutout goalies they have for the intermission show.
Where there's like 3 little slots, and if you can get it through the middle one, it's 2 points. You get one on the right or the left, it's 1, and if you miss it, you don't get any. We'll see how it works out. I guess it'll make the extra point more interesting.
Again, I think if you want to move it back to a significant distance, if you think moving it back is going to be the answer.
What I've heard is that the reason they're doing this is because people get up and walk out on the extra point. I mean, how high do your fucking ratings need to be, guys?
Exactly.
You're already, by far and away, the biggest sport of all time. What else is there to go get? You know, is this going to really? You're not going to improve your ratings an iota by doing this. I don't care. Whatever.
Other NFL news: the Patriots announced they will not appeal their fines, but Tom Brady is still going through with his appeal, and his appeal of the suspension levied by Roger Goodell will be adjudicated by Roger Goodell. Because that makes sense.
God.
That's fair.
Don't you think it's interesting that Robert Kraft backed away from the appeal?
Interesting as you mean that they were at a CBS executive's birthday party and supposedly exchanged a hug and talked it out?
Oh,
yeah.
sake, yeah.
Very suspicious.
Yeah, but if that were the case, you'd think that Robert Kraft would be able to convince Tom to stand down. But apparently,
well, they brought the Dan Patrick. This is first off, I want to make a complaint about this because the Dan Patrick show is like fixated on this stupid issue. I mean, it's like I've listened to 3 shows this week. Each one started with a segment about the stupid Deflategate or Balgazi.
I prefer Balgazi.
Yeah, me too. But he brings up a good point. Okay, if they appeal it, and let's say it gets cut down to 2, it doesn't mean he's not guilty. It just means he's less guilty. You can't be half pregnant, guys. You either are or you're not. You know.
Well, it's not the guilt necessarily; it's the punishment. I think the argument would be that.
Yeah, I think 4 games was probably a little bit much.
I don't think so. And this is coming from me, someone who I went out and said, I think everyone is overreacting to this. I say that if you're gonna do the repeat offender bit, I would have suspended him for 8 games.
Do they play the Packers in those first 4 games?
I don't know, but the 4th game or his first game back would be against the Colts. So
lucky you.
Yeah, I'm all for reducing it.
What? So he doesn't come back Brady mad and just destroy everything?
Yes. I would very much appreciate not getting my ass reamed out by Tom Brady anymore.
Zach either wants it reduced or extended to 8 games like you want, Mike. Either way.
Yeah. Whatever one skips over the Colts game. Speaking of Patriots in trouble, you know our friend Aaron Hernandez.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Aaron Hernandez.
Well, it seems that his first month in prison has already been spent wisely. He got a new tattoo.
Oh,
good.
This is just going to be the epitome of good taste, isn't it?
Yeah, it's you can't see all of it, but you can see the word lifetime, as in his lifetime prison sentence.
Wow.
So, this guy doesn't look guilty at all.
Not anymore.
But you just got to think. I mean, seriously, what kind of an idiot does it take to be at the point? I mean, he was a really good football player, got plenty of money. Wouldn't you think that you would, at some point, something in your head would click and go, you know what? Should probably drop the gangster shit and just become an upstanding citizen?
Or you think, given how much money he made, he could have afforded a lawyer.
Or a hitman.
Or he could have afforded a lawyer who wasn't going to completely run back on his defense on the last day of the trial.
For you wrestling fans out there.
Woo!
All right.
TNA Wrestling has been canceled.
No.
Yeah, it's been canceled by Destination America.
Just 6 months ago, they announced the move to the Discovery-owned network, and they've already called it off.
I don't think that TNA Wrestling is a good fit on any of the Discovery networks. Do you?
Destination America, a channel I've never heard of.
It's on your DirecTV, Zach. It's like channel 289 or something like that.
289 is Disney Junior, I'll have you know.
Oh, okay. Well, it's in there somewhere. 287, maybe. No, 287 is the American Heroes channel, which I shamefully admit I watch all the time. Go ahead, Mike.
I've been a fan of TNA Wrestling actually since they started up in around 2004, around 2004. So I had been watching them loyally for all those years. And then they leave Spike TV to go to Destination America, a channel that I don't get in Canada. I appreciate that they weren't concerned with their Canadian viewership, probably. But at the same time, this is a company that I had followed loyally, and now that they're probably going to go under with no TV deal, I just can't bring myself to care. You did it to yourselves, guys. You could have been something.
You could have been a contender.
Exactly.
I don't know. What do you got to do to get dropped from Spike TV?
They were actually the highest rated show on Spike TV when Spike TV dropped them. Spike TV doesn't seem like it's run by the most intelligent.
Well, because the men that they're marketing their channel to don't exist.
They're men.
That's part of the problem.
Yeah. Well, they've also changed it. It's not as manly of a men's.
Well, I just remember when it switched over, I was like, you guys are marketing a TV station to people that were created for TV commercials.
I can guarantee you those people exist.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Those people exist.
They actually exist in the world.
Speaking of TV, the Oakland A's, Comcast Sportsnet California.
They found out they actually have viewers.
They've added 15 games to their broadcast schedule that they didn't originally have because MLB needed them to be televised for instant replay purposes.
I always wondered about that when they instituted the replay thing with the MLB, because I know that, most teams carry all the games, but there are teams that aren't on TV sometimes.
I know the NHL center ice sometimes, if it was a Thrashers Predators game, there were times where the game wasn't televised, so the center ice channel would show the Jumbotron feed with the radio announcers.
Which, by the way, was some of the worst, quote-unquote, televised hockey you would ever see.
Well, we already mentioned the NFL. Let's talk about one of our other favorite, most corrupt entities in the world of sports.
FIFA, huh?
FIFA!
Ah.
It was either that or the IOC, so,
Well, yeah.
I was going to say boxing, but saying boxing is corrupt is kind of redundant, really.
So, what's FIFA's biggest problem right now?
Qatar's in the midst of a slave revolt.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. BBC had some reporters down in Qatar that were reporting on the migrant workers building these stadiums, and they were arrested. So when you're trying to, maybe hide the fact that you're basically killing Southeastern Asian slaves for trying to build your World Cup
That's not
stadium.
funny, except when it is.
Yeah.
It's funny because it never stops. It just keeps, as corrupt as you think it gets, it just keeps getting more corrupt.
Kind of like the NFL.
Yeah. In fact, I think someone on the boards even compared Roger Goodell to whoever the hell is running FIFA these days.
Sepp Blatter.
That's him, Sepp Blatter.
Apparently who doesn't come to America for fear of being questioned by the FBI for an outstanding case. Anyway.
That's funny. Is that it?
That is it.
I want to ask.
I've got one Mike's tab.
Oh, okay.
Mike's
tab. Let's go.
The state of Tennessee paid $46,000 for a new state logo.
I didn't know they had a logo in the first place.
This is what they paid $46,000 for.
All right, let's see here.
It's a red box with Times New Roman T and N in the middle of it. There's a
blue bar
rectangle on the bottom. It's kind of like the Philadelphia 76ers old logo.
I could have done that for half the money. No problem. I've been happy to.
You still take $23,000.
I was going to take 23, yeah, and I'll even give them different color variations they could use on that. Wow, they spent money on this?
$46,000.
Wow,
$6,000.
God Almighty.
Yeah.
Did anybody watch the Mad Men finale? Or does anybody even care?
I did. Yes.
I don't. I'm sorry. I don't.
You don't? Do you not? Have you ever watched Mad Men, Mike? You just don't like it.
I've seen a couple episodes here and there. I have nothing against the show. It's just that it's never actually happened, or I've sat down and watched it.
Oh, okay.
I don't
What do you
mind
think of the finale, Zach?
As far as the ending goes, I know there's people that are taking a bunch of different reads on it. I think
Right.
it reads pretty straightforward. That when and if you haven't seen the end, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
The next portion of Basically a Sports Show contains information about the finale of Mad Men. If you haven't seen the Mad Men finale, you should stop listening right now. We're about to talk about shit you may not have seen.
Basically, Don's at this hippie commune, and he's doing his little pose,
Yeah.
and then he finally gets a smile. And then it cuts from him smiling to, I like to buy the world of Coke ad.
Yeah.
And so,
Oh my God.
he's happiest when he's creating the perfect ad. And the ad that it's been, planted all season, when he's at the motel, and the guy's like, hey, you can fix the Coke machine.
Right.
And then he finally comes up with the ad, and that's his happy place, is he's finally thought of the ad.
No, okay. And I don't want to get too far into this because we could do a whole half hour on it. But,
Oh, yeah,
But
for
do
sure.
you think... Because there are some people that are really cynical about it, okay, he went through all this just to come up with a great ad. Or do you think that he kind of finally reached a point where he was okay with himself, and that's where he came from to make the ad?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
that's where I'm at, too. I don't
because
think
he was clearly in a mess. Well,
Right.
That's why he went on the road trip, that he needed to just get away. And then once he was there, he found his happy place, which was, I found the next big idea.
Yeah.
Because the other thing that they mentioned before, somebody asked him to write a speech, remember? And
Yeah.
it was like, well, what do you see this company doing? And he talked to Ted Shaw, and he's like, well, I'm thinking of trying to get the next big pharmaceutical or whatever. And that was exactly how Don was at the very beginning of the show, where he's like, well, I want to get Pan Am, or I want to get a beer company, or whatever. I think it's just Don finally coming to peace with, you know what? The thing I like most is the next big thing, the next great idea. And the next big idea was, I'd like to buy a World of Coke.
A lot of people were like disappointed with it, but Mad Men isn't the type of show where you can wrap up like you can with Breaking Bad.
Right. It's not building to a climactic point.
No.
It's just the days in the lives of these people.
Yeah.
And eventually, I mean, their lives are going to continue to go on, and then you just need to find a point where you're comfortable with stopping showing these people's lives.
So on that note, I guess we'll call it a night. What's the score in the game before we go?
2-1. We're 3 minutes into the third.
2-1 for who?
The Anaheim Quacks.
All right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm openly rooting for the Ducks. I hope no one minds. I'm sure Zach doesn't.
Somebody's got to be on our side.
Yeah.
At least you're rooting for us, whereas 2/3 of the boards are now Rangers fans, apparently.
Yeah.
I have my reasons.
I know you have reasons, but, like, Morgo is a Ranger fan because he doesn't want anybody in the West to win, obviously, but he doesn't want Tampa to win? Or
I can't track Morgo's fandom anymore, so I'm just not.
It's like trying to figure out who my favorite Major League Baseball team is.
He's low on his fluoride intake, is what the problem is.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Honestly, I am perfectly fine with any of the 4 teams left winning the Cup. I want the Ducks to win the West. In the East, I would like to see the Rangers, but if the Lightning win, I'm fine with that too. So.
Oh, speaking of fluoride and crazy conspiracy shit, one more thing. After our last show, friend of the show, NYK33, sent me a video he found on YouTube about someone explaining the true history of the world, which involves the Jews who are aliens,
cool,
Martians, and Atlanteans fighting when Atlantis sunk.
I'd like that world history better than the ones that we've had.
Yeah. I agree.
It seems more exciting.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we're going to call it a night. You know the routine at Basically Sports on Twitter. The website is basicallyasportshow.com. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and the YouTubes. And with that, I believe we are finished.
I believe so. Go Quack.
See ya.